Welcome to the regular meeting of the Council of the Township of North Dundas, today being July 30th, 2025, 3 p.m. I'm going to call the meeting to order. The meeting's called to order at 3 p.m. Adoption of the agenda. Be resolved that the agenda be adopted as presented. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Annable. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. And we're going to move into a public meeting. Anyone who is in attendance for the public meeting is asked to sign the attendance sheet. Has everyone signed the attendance sheet? Thank you. So Ms. Anderson, our junior planner, will start the presentation.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor Fraser. Make sure this works. There we go. So today's public meeting is for the property at 10619 South Mountain Main Street in South Mountain, Ontario. A reminder here of what parties and entities have appeal rights regarding the decisions of council as per the Planning Act. So this application is to amend the zoning of the subject property from general commercial, C1, to general commercial, exception 15. So that's C1-15. The extent of the property identified here in red is legally described as part of Lot 8, Concession 2, Part 1 on Reference Plan 8R-842, former Township of Mountain, now the Township of North Dundas, County of Dundas, municipally known as 10619 South Mountain Main Street, South Mountain. So a notice was circulated to the public on July 3rd. This was done by mail and by a sign posted on the property. Some background on the property. So you can see it depicted here. It consists of an existing building that was formerly Scotiabank and then the Food Bank and has been vacant for the past while. The images depicted to the right include the front entry onto Main Street and the 4-vehicle parking area to the rear of the property. So the property itself is approximately 0.15 acres in size, is designated rural settlement area under the official plan. It's currently zoned general commercial, and it's proposed to be rezoned to that exception 15. So in addition to the stated purpose, the effect of approving the amendment would be to permit a veterinary clinic as an additional use under the general commercial exception 15 zone on the subject lands. Looking now to the policy, the PPS is generally supportive of this type of amendment as it directs us to optimize existing and planned infrastructure. It promotes regeneration and diversification of economic base and employment areas, and it encourages the intensification of employment opportunities while supporting a complete community. This is echoed again in the official plan that also speaks to supporting compact development that integrates a mix of uses including commercial and employment lands. So regarding comments from ministries or public bodies, SCG counties did inform us that they have no concerns with this particular application, and we have not received any comments from the public to date. With that, I'll pass it back to the mayor for any comments or questions.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. As stated, any questions, comments from members of the public? I see that the applicant is here. Does the applicant wish to make any comments? Fair enough, as we all do. Thank you. Any questions, comments from members of the council? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, I'm really excited about this because the building has been empty for a year or two, and we welcome a new business in our community, and the vet will be close by. Dr. Segura, I mean, she's putting a huge investment to develop this in our community, and I just think it's just great. So I'm definitely for this rezoning.
Thank you very much. And nothing further? Well, there's nothing further. This concludes our public meeting, and thank you for your comment. And we look forward to great success. We're going to move into our delegations, and we have one delegation with us tonight. And gentlemen, and everyone else that's available, please bear with me. I'm going to ask Jean Lemay and Jacques Aroux to come forward from the Conseil Scolaire de District Catholique de l'Est Ontarien. I hope I didn't butcher that too much. Gentlemen, welcome. That should be on.
Thank you for receiving us today, for having us present this new venture from our school board with the municipality. We will be needing the municipality on this subject. I'm accompanied by Jacques Héroux. I'm Jean Lemay. I'm the chairman of the French Catholic School Board of Eastern Ontario, covering Prescott, Russell, Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry, the 5 counties, eastern counties. We have over 11,000 students. We have more than 32 schools open and operating. We have over 2,600 employees working at our board. We want to expand the school system to this area because there are no French schools in this area in North Dundas at all. The closest school is 24 kilometers away, and what we want to do is build a school that will cover from pre-kindergarten to grade 12. So we'd cover the whole education system. It would be built in town, we hope, and we're working on that. I'm accompanied also today by Martin Lavigne, the Superintendent of Business for our board, and Stéphane Vachon, Project Director for the school board. So if we have questions, we'd like to answer all your questions, if we may, after the presentation. I will now I just want to make sure we have submitted a request to the Ontario Ministry of Education for a new school for families entitled to French language Catholic education from kindergarten to grade 12 in Winchester. So the submission has been done. We also want the counselors here to help us make sure that this goes through and the council is ready to help us with this. We will also need your help with permits and deliverance and everything else. So this is a startup. I've met with the Deputy Minister and Councillor Gary, so we've already discussed this at the meeting. We'd like to present right now. Jacques Héroux will do the presentation for us. Thank you, Jacques.
Merci, Monsieur Lemay. Merci, merci, Jean. Mr. Mayor, members of council. Thank you once again for accepting our invitation to present this exciting project of a new school within your city limits. So the intention today is to present the project and to answer the perennial question of what will this school bring forth to Winchester? What is the added value of a new built, a French school going to be in Winchester? So that's the question that I will attempt to answer throughout my presentation. Let me get accustomed to this clicker. Okay. So we've done our homework, and our numbers show that the numbers justify opening a school here in Winchester. We have 523 children, according to the 2021 survey, which represents about 23% of the total population under 18 in the area. Francophones in this area need to travel a fair ways. I think that Jean mentioned that, or my chair mentioned that the nearest school is 24 kilometers away, which translates to about a 45 to 50 minute, or even an hour bus ride from here to their nearest school. Although Dundas is part of our territory, the school board currently has no French language education, neither in North Dundas, neither in South Dundas, and as a matter of fact, I think there are no French language schools at all in either one of the two systems. This map just shows where our nearby schools are according or in comparison to Winchester. And in this slide, I'd like to focus on the fourth bullet. These are criteria for funding requests according to the ministry. And I'd like to bring you to the fourth one, which is provision of French language services for undeserved or unserved areas. And that just comes out and confirms the need for a French language school here in Winchester. Project objectives. So this, now we're getting a bit into the nitty-gritty of the school project itself. It's a new build. The ministry wants us to resubmit in the fall a proposal, shovel-ready proposal. And this year we've done our homework in consulting the community. We are consulting you. We're presenting to you. We have our timeline all set up. Essentially, what we're looking at is a state-of-the-art, modern, pre-K to 12 French school with daycare center, accessible to the community for before school and after school programs. And we'd like to also have on the school premises an up-to-date track and field facilities, which would permit Winchester to host provincial athletic competitions in the future. So planning principles for CSD, we talked about a modern new facility, open, accessible to the community. In order to, and there will be a cultural part to the new school also. If we want to tap into federal funds, then there has to be a cultural part to the school. It's not just a building, but a French language school also offers culture. That could be, I understand that Winchester is looking, or the town is looking for maybe a concert hall. So we could possibly attach a concert hall to this school, which of course would be available for community use. So that's where the community access comes in, and that's an added value already to the community. Land requirements. For school serving students from JK to 12, we are looking at a 400 to 450 student place facility. We are looking for 16 to 20 acres in the Winchester community, fully served with water and sewers. And we talked about the size to accommodate outdoor sports and recreation facilities. A new 400-meter track could be useful. I haven't seen one community refuse that so far. Our timeline. What we hope to do November 2025, if everything falls into place and if everything goes well, we would like to come back and stake a billboard or a placard that says we are going to build a school here in Winchester within the next 3 years. So the project is there. If everything goes according to plan, then we hope to start construction in September 2027 to have our first students come in September 2029. How will this be communicated to the community and to the outside? Well, we will have a dedicated internet page, so winchester.csdcao.ca, and I think it's already online and active. There will be community presence. We will make ourselves available for any community activities, not as a delegation, but as a presence. And we intend on continuing our consultations within the next year and 2 years. And any information will be shared with all key stakeholders throughout the project. Next steps. So Winchester is growing, and I think with my discussions with Mayor Fraser, the council has an ambitious vision for the next 10 to 15 years. Winchester is growing, Winchester is developing, and we believe it will be beneficial for the municipality municipality's vision to include a French language school within its city limits. It'd be a lasting legacy for the Francophone community here. And so the real reason why we came here is we were hoping by the end of our presentation, maybe by the end of today's meeting, that we leave with a motion in our pocket to help render our resubmit more, or to add credibility to our submission in September. So we were seeking a support from municipality, and the resolution could read as follows. That council support the CDCAO and the Francophone community of North Dundas for the construction of a JK-12 school, including child care facilities. Donc, merci beaucoup. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And I think that we are open to questions. And if the questions become too operational in nature or too specific, then I will defer them to a member of our staff. Once again, merci, Monsieur Fraser, pour votre écoute.
Well, thank you, Mr. Roux. It is, the presentation itself is not exciting, but the concept is, and I do appreciate that. And I look to my fellow councillors for questions, comments, thoughts to the presentation, and I opened it up. Thank you, Councillor Lennox.
I like it. I think it's exciting. Few concerns come to mind. Community presence. How are you going to begin that prior to the build and getting the word out?
We've already had 2 consultations. One was public, and one was for the public, and one was admin to admin, but it turned out to be a semi-public consultation. So we've been in community twice already. In the next year, we'd like to muster up support. Any activities, I know that Winchester might have a fair activities, so we will make sure that we have a booth present.
Like the
staff.
upcoming Meet Me on Main Street?
I understand that after council meeting, there's always a parade down Main Street, and I would be more than happy and available to join you today if you want me to.
Absolutely. That's in Chesterville, and that's a good segue to my follow-up question. North Dundas has roughly 12,000 residents, and it's just not Winchester. Are there plans to extend busing to the further reaches, such as South Mountain, Hallville, Chesterville, Inkerman, to bring those students who wish to be educated in the French or first language, second language, etc.? How are you going to deal with that given the ongoing busing issues faced throughout Eastern Ontario?
I know there's a NAP, and there's a program that the Eastern Coalition for Buses uses to map out the routes. But that question, I think I will defer to my Superintendent of Affairs, and I think he is more versed than I am in the application itself.
Yes, as you mentioned, there are some challenges with the funding formula regarding transportation in affecting our board precisely. But still, we're going to bus them no matter what. Like we still have some. The main problem with the transportation was the walking distances to the school. That is our main area of concern. But those outside of Winchester would get automatically get busing from the school board. So it won't be an issue for those outside of the walking distances. They're allowed to the privilege of school busing.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Like we said in our presentation, we are open for business, which means if the community is asking us for services in that school, after school and at night or on weekends, we're open for business. The gyms are open, the track and field is open, The soccer field will be open. You got to think that we're building a school that's going to go from kindergarten to grade 12. So the high school students will need these facilities during the day. They're not being used during weekends and at night. Open for business. You guys can do it. I've already had a talk with the deputy mayor about YMCA, and I got the address. I communicated with them. They came back to me and they said they're also open for business because we have good relationships with YMCA. I'm from Rockland. If you come to my town, you'll see that there's a pool, a gym, and a whole facility occupied in our school by the YMCA. So they're involved in this facility, and they're open for business for all day long and at night. Guess who works at the YMCA? Our kids. They cross the door, they go in there, and they work for the YMCA. So they get a job and a facility to exercise 365 days a year. So we're, like I said, I told the deputy mayor, we're open for business, library, daycare, and everything else. We want this to happen. This is the best way to open a community school system. So we know, we have the experience, and I think of the 32 schools that we have 30 daycares in them, operated by somebody else, not from the school board, but they're in our building, and they occupy the building with a daycare, which is something that the people that are coming to our schools like a lot. So,
Perfect. Thank you for your follow-up.
yeah.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Annable.
Well, I think it's a great concept. It'll be certainly a great asset to the community and save a lot of the kids busing a long distance that they're busing now. So I think it's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Further questions, comments? Deputy Mayor?
Yes, as Jean mentioned, we did meet at the public meeting. Of course, my disappointment then was that you did not consult with council about having the public meeting or our CAO. And, you know, we would have appreciated that because the only reason I was at that meeting was because the mayor that same day saw it posted in the post office. And so in the future, and for sure I think it's already organized, that you will be consulting with the CAO and with council about what you're about to do. I think it's great. We do need more daycare centers. I mean, I don't need daycare centers, but there are members here or who tell me that there's a waiting list for daycare centers, and we do need daycare centers. We don't have a gym. We've got a huge population of seniors now. We have a seniors complex coming up with 500 units. It would be nice to have a gymnasium where they could do exercise or yoga or, you know, activities to keep their bodies occupied. It would be nice to have an indoor swimming pool, but I know that's really costly. As for the busing question, Councillor Annable made a point, is that today children from here are being bused all the way to Embrun and Castleman, and I don't even Kempville, and so that would just mean that there would be shorter distance busing for the children that are here. So I'm game for a new school here, and I'm game for collaboration, for things that we could do with your facilities for the people of North Dundas, and I'm sure South Dundas too, because they're not that far away.
I have to add, at the first meeting, and the school board said the same thing. We wanted to open a school that would cover kindergarten to grade 6 and then bus them somewhere else. That's not what we heard from the population here. They said, no. If my kid is going to go in your school, I want him in your school till he graduates in grade 12. And it's a new way of doing things. We can now do it and have this different separations in the building for grades, kindergarten to grade 6, 7 and 8, and then the high school. We can do that now. So we've heard the population from Winchester and around, and that's what they want. They don't want to be bussed away after grade 6. We've listened, and now we come up with the project that we've proposed to you. We would go to grade 12 with this.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Urick.
No, it's certainly an ambitious plan, compelling presentation. I think, and you know, if nothing else, another partner in our corner might put a little more pressure on our provincial government as we face, you know, overgrown and outdo infrastructure issues here. And you know, the thought of adding something that, you know, requires, you know, a significant infrastructure investment, and knowing what we're already tackling just to build homes in North Dundas is an interesting optics, that's for sure. So again, another partner on board is not a bad thing. So thank you for your presentation. I appreciate it.
As a follow-up to that, Councillor MPP Quinn has been briefed on this project. We've met with him twice already, so he's fully aware, and he told us that we have his full support in caucus in Toronto.
Thank you for your question, Councillor. I guess I'll, unless someone wants to go around again, but I'll finish it off with my comment. It is when I first became better aware of the request and the desire to locate a new school in Winchester, and as you mentioned, council and staffs and the public's forward-thinking attitude about growth, and this aligns so well with growth. As we grow, we become more diverse, and we need to be able to attract that diversity. So it works both ways. The growth, diversity allows for more growth, and diverse options for young parents. And I've sat on the Rural Education Committee for the counties. I've sat on that. I'm back on that, and that was, being on that committee, one of our challenges was how do we advocate, how do we encourage young families to move to Eastern Ontario, to move to SDG? We need, education is key. The Madam CAO and I talked about it. People that move to a community want to make sure that their children are educated close to home, in their own community, where they can grow up in their community. They don't have to be bused, not so much bused, but bused elsewhere. So this aligns with a lot of the thoughts that council has, that staff have, where how do we promote ourselves, how do we encourage growth, how do we encourage diversity, and a French Catholic school in the community certainly supports that. I think from looking around, listening to the comments from my fellow councillors, that I have a resolution where we can speed up the process and have a resolution expressing our support. So I'll read it, and then I'll ask for a mover and a seconder. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of North Dundas supports the CSDCEO and the Francophone community of North Dundas for the construction of a JK to 12 school, including childcare facilities. And do I have a mover? Councillor Urick, seconded by Councillor Annable. Questions, comments? All those in favor? All those in favor. So that's been carried. So a resolution will be prepared, and the communication will be back and forth between the clerk and you, Mr. Lemay. I really is, I do appreciate having a delegation of this type where the Township of North Dundas is highlighted as a place of opportunity and growth. And so I look forward to great success. Maria's gone, Segura's gone, so two good news stories so far coming out of the council meeting, and thank you very much. I look forward to the next meeting. I look forward to future meetings in-house, and maybe I'll bump into you in Russell.
We are holding the Russell Band is holding an open practice tomorrow, so it's time for you to dust off your old high school room instrument and sit in for tomorrow night, tomorrow's practice. No, that being said, thank you so very much for your collaboration, for your partnership and your support. And yes, we are looking forward to working with you and for you on this project.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Mr. Mayor, and something we want to know, we'll be checking your website for events during the year, and we will become part of these events for sure. So expect us to be here
Well-
before the school is built, and when the school is built, and after the school is built. So
You'll be busy coming to North
very
Dundas
good.
then.
I don't mind. That's what I'm retired, so I can do this.
Well, you'll certainly enjoy the events we have here.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
this is my jurisdiction, so you'll be seeing a lot more of me also.
Yeah. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See.
So we're going to move into staff reports, transportation. Director Cheney, bylaw number 2025-56, be it resolved that council approve and adopt. I'm sorry. Ms. Shade, you're here. I did see you. So Monica Shade's here to speak about the culvert entrance and the Hamilton Municipal Drain.
Yes, thank you. Is this still turned on? Green is good? Green is good, okay. So thank you. My name is Monica Shade, as you know, and I'm a drainage engineer with Shade Group. I was appointed by the municipality of North Dundas to prepare an engineer's report under Section 78.5 of the Drainage Act. So the appointment and initiation of that process came in response to a petition filed by a landowner requesting that a crossing on a municipal drain, known as the Hamilton Drain, located on Armstrong Road just outside Winchester, be put in. So my presentation will include an introduction on the purpose of this meeting to consider, a brief history of the existing adopted drainage system, the reason that this process was initiated, a summary of my engineer's report, and an overview of what the next steps will be on the process of adopting this report. So in fitting with the process outlined in Ontario Regulation 500/21, which outlines the process under which a minor improvement project under the Drainage Act is to proceed, this meeting serves to address the requirements of Section 8, subsection 5. The purpose is to present the report and then accept it as is or request changes. If accepted, council would then prepare a provisional bylaw for the proposed work. So the governing report for the Hamilton Drain is from 1968 and was authored by Meldrum and Johnston. The 1968 engineer's report describes the Hamilton Drain as being approximately 15,000 feet long, with the upper limit of the drain located just over 1 kilometer from the intersection of Armstrong Road and County Road 31, and the downstream limit being the McLean Drain, which is on the east side of County Road 31. The initiation of this project comes from a landowner request to have an access crossing restored to allow for reinstatement of access to the Cloverdale Links Golf Course off of Armstrong Road. While a crossing was previously in place, the installed culvert was understood to have not been installed under the specifications of the Drainage Act, was too small in both diameter and length to meet today's standards. The culvert is understood to have been removed by township staff in the past 1 to 2 years, and a replacement pipe is proposed to be installed in the same location. So to facilitate an explanation of the area where the work is proposed, we've got a map here on the screen. The Cloverdale Links Golf Course is on the south side of Armstrong Road there, west of County Road 31, and is the lands owned by the initiating landowner. The blue line is the Hamilton Municipal Drain, and the X towards the center of the picture is the location of the proposed crossing. So an engineer's report was prepared for the proposed replacement access culvert in accordance with the guidelines of the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Agribusiness, and included the various highlights as noted on this slide. The report includes a brief summary of the history of the drain, how the project meets the conditions under the Ontario Regulation 500/21, consideration for erosion and capacity impacts to the drainage system, how future maintenance is to be addressed, permitting considerations, and a summary of the associated project costs. All project costs, as are typical for minor improvements, including the construction, permitting, and engineering fees, will be paid for by the initiating landowner. So typically, we'd conduct a hydrologic and hydraulic analysis to decide on the appropriate culvert size for a crossing, but in this case, there was already extensive analysis completed by multiple engineering firms over the past 10 to 20 years within this area. The subdivision north of Armstrong Road outlets to the Hamilton Municipal Drain, and as such, their stormwater management report for the subdivision already included an extensive review of the downstream infrastructure. At the time, that didn't include all of the houses along Armstrong Road, but it did make reference to both the road crossing culverts upstream and downstream of the work area. They were confirmed to be adequate and are still the same size as what is there today. Additional analysis was also performed as part of the Cloverdale Links subdivision, which included for design of culverts allowing access to the neighboring houses that were recently constructed along Armstrong Road. In consultation with township staff, we understand that there have not been any concerns of flooding along Armstrong Road to date, and as such, the proposed infrastructure sizing for the replacement access to Cloverdale Links Golf Course has been determined in accordance with the surrounding infrastructure. So it's proposed that it'll be a 900 millimeter diameter smooth wall pipe. The project was circulated to both South Nation Conservation Authority and Fisheries and Oceans Canada for review and comment. Fisheries and Oceans Canada, also referred to as DFO, reviews projects for aquatic impacts and impacts that the project may have on aquatic species and their habitat. They regulate such measures under the Fisheries Act. A letter of advice was received from DFO indicating that the project was not anticipated to cause harm to fish or fish habitat, and so fisheries authorization was not required. The letter received is included within the engineer's report and indicates certain restrictions on how and when the works can be performed. South Nation Conservation Authority regulates watercourses under the Conservation Authorities Act and requires a permit for works that impact watercourses. They conducted a review of the proposed works as it relates to flooding and erosion and issued a permit for the initial installation. A copy of that permit can also be found within the engineer's report. Shade Group maintained an open line of communication throughout the entire project with both the initiating landowner and the township representative. Following the completion of this presentation, Council would allow the initiating property owner an opportunity to provide input and ask questions if applicable. Council may then decide whether or not to send the report back for revisions or adopt the report as submitted. Following a decision to proceed, the report could be provisionally adopted by bylaw and there would be an opportunity for appeals. And then following the appeals period, the project may proceed to construction. So that is it for my presentation, and I will pass it back to Council.
Excuse me. Thank you, Ms. Shade. Questions, comments from members of council? Councilor Urick.
I assume restoring the access off of Armstrong is simply for maintenance purposes. I mean, maybe you don't have that answer, Monica.
I'm going to be honest, I don't have
yeah.
that answer. I
I'm
know
just-
there was something about wanting to get a pump station in
Okay.
there, and that was his point of access that was
Okay.
discussed early on, but the actual intention of that crossing and what it's used for, I'm
Okay.
not
'Cause I'm just
entirely certain.
like picturing the area and like there's homes abutting.
There's homes
so-
on either side, and there's a massive pond
Yeah.
on, like, right near the entrance
Yeah.
too. So,
Yeah,
from
Okay.
what Jamie, I don't know if you, yeah.
fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you.
If there's nothing further from members of council, be it resolved that council approve and adopt the engineer's report prepared. I'm sorry. Is the landowner here?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay. Be it resolved that council approve and adopt the engineer's report prepared by Shade Group, Inc. in July 2025 for the installation of a new entrance culvert on the Hamilton Municipal Drain located at Part Lot 24, Concession 10 from Station 3+00 to 3+40, identified as roll number 051101-101-237500 in the former township of Mountain, and that bylaw number 2025-56 being a bylaw to approve and adopt a section 78.5 engineer's report prepared by Shade Group, Inc. for minor improvement works on the Hamilton Municipal Drain be read a first and second time in open council this 30th day of July 2025. Do I have a mover? Deputy Mayor, and a seconder? Councillor Lennox. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you. So, Mr. Cheney, third reading of bylaw number 2025-30. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-30 being a provisional bylaw to adopt section 76 of the engineer's report of the bylaw and Moffat Kennedy municipal drains, including the East Justice and South Guy branches, be read a third final time, passed and enacted this 30th day of July 2025. Do I have a mover? Councillor Lennox, seconder, Councillor Urick. Mr. Cheney.
Thank you, Mayor Fraser and members of council. So on April 9th of 2025, the report was presented to council by the way of the delegation by Monica Shade of Shade Group, Inc. and bylaw number 2025-30 to approve and adopt the engineer's report prepared by Shade Group Incorporated was provisionally adopted by first and second reading in open council, pending the Court of Revision for appeals. The Court of Revision was held on June 3rd, 2025, and as no appeals were registered, we are presenting this bylaw to be read for the third and final time.
Thank you. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Bylaw number 2025-50, entrance permit policy. Be it resolved that council approve bylaw number 2025-50 being a bylaw to regulate entrance permits, and that policy number 113-2025, entrance permit, be passed and enacted this 30th day of July 2025. Do I have a mover? Councillor Urick, a seconder. Councillor Lennox. Mr. Cheney.
Thanks again, Mayor and members of council. So bylaw number 2025-50, which includes Schedule A, entrance permit policy number 113-2025, has been created to replace existing bylaw number 2024-04 in order to expand, update, set out new parameters, and update the fee schedule, significantly improving the clarity of the entrance permit process in a comprehensive and concise format. Hence, bylaw number 2024-04 is to be repealed. And just one little note, on section 10.3.8.1, staff noticed that there was a one brief section in there that was supposed to be removed and did not in council's package, and it has been removed now. And it was a section, basically, it stated that residents, if they wanted to change their driveway from gravel to paved, they would have to apply for a permit and pay for a permit, and that was something that we did not want them to have to do. We're more concerned about the width of the driveway and the length of the width of the road. Whether they have asphalt or whether they have gravel on it, that's entirely up to them. So that was the section that we staff had missed, and it has been removed. So if council has any other questions, by all means, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you. Questions, comments, members of council? Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have one comment. When I read the whole package, which is something that I did not realize, is that when a person finishes their driveway, if it's gravel or pavement, and the township damages the driveway either with the snowplow or road reconstruction, that they replace that material. But if someone decides to finish the driveway with either concrete or interlocking brick and decide to extend the concrete or interlocking brick onto the road allowance and towards the road, if that gets damaged, then the township is only responsible to either replace gravel or asphalt. And I don't know if the public know this, but I think it's something that's really important, especially for someone, since we're having a lot of housing coming up, that they need to know this particular clause in the bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. The Marathon Hot Mix Transporter. Be it resolved that council declare unit number 3209, a 2011 Marathon Hot Mix Transporter, serial number HMT 8000T, to be surplus to the needs of the township, and that council authorize it to be advertised on the Brian's Auction Services website via sealed bids with a minimum bid of $5,000. Do I have a mover? Councillor Annable, seconder is Councillor Lennox. Mr. Cheney.
As part of the fleet management grades, a new hot mix transporter was approved in the 2025 budget and has arrived. The current hot mix transporter, unit number 3209, is no longer needed, and it is recommended that it be deemed surplus and sold.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question was, is this unit still functional?
Through you, Mayor Fraser, to Deputy Mayor Bergeron, yes, it is still functional.
So my next question then is, if it's still functional, should we keep it as a spare in case something goes wrong with the new one? If there's time off with the new one for, for a difference of $5,000? That's just my question.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Deputy Mayor Bergeron, in my opinion, no. Things that sit around in the yard rust a lot quicker than when they're on the road being used. The new hot mix transporter is almost twice as big as the old one. We spend half as much time now getting hot mix, whereas before we made 2 trips to Ottawa to get on the old one. Now we make 1 trip with the new one. In my opinion, no, it should be surplused and gone, so that sometimes things magically break when they're just sitting there. So I think, in my opinion, it's best to let it go.
Further questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you, Mr. Genie. To the CAO, policy updates. Be resolved that council approves the amendments to the recruitment and selection policy, the salary wage administration policy, and the employee corrective action policy as presented this 30th day of July 2025. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Lennox. Madam CAO.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. The proposed amendment to our existing policy strengthens the township's commitment to fair, consistent, and transparent staffing practices, while ensuring that our recruitment decisions are informed, objective, and aligned with organizational needs. These policy updates are based on the principles of clarifying governance and administrative roles. In the report, I have highlighted the sections where we have amended the key components, starting with recruitment panel. So for all director level recruitments and for key public facing supervisory positions, there's a consistent panel that will be formed comprising of human resource coordinator, CAO, or the relevant director as appropriate for the position, and an independent third-party panel member from neighboring townships or from the counties who can add valuable expertise and neutrality to the process. For the facilities manager position, as well as the chief building officer or bylaw supervisor position, we have made sure that those roles align with the director level recruitment, where upon selection of the final candidate by the panel, a report will be presented to council for their approval. This not only ensures that we are clarifying administration's authority to make sure that the hiring process is consistent and fair, but also ensure that council has the oversight and say in the process and the approval prior to an offer being extended to these positions. Secondly, we have updated the orientation checklist in alignment with our current practices, where it is online based. And the third update we have here is related to job descriptions. So the job descriptions currently give very little wiggle room for the administration to make any updates. As such, these amendments will allow for the administration to make updates to job description where there is no direct financial implication to the position or roles and responsibilities. This will allow us to get the positions posted a lot faster, which allows us to get the recruitment process started and position filled appropriately. Appointments to acting positions aligns with our salary and wage administration, where we are able to tweak the current policy to ensure that the model related to compensation aligns with the responsibilities and duration of secondments. Lastly, the workplace expectation and accountability. In order to address this piece, we have made some changes to the existing discipline policy, and that is now called as Employee Corrective Action Policy. The goal is to ensure that the employees understand what their requirements are, where they need to improve, which brings a more positive approach to the corrective action policy while promoting appropriate accountability, as well as also emphasizes clear communication of work-related expectations and corresponding corrective measures to the staff instead of a disciplinary approach. So in closing, the administration is committed to open communication and continuous improvement in our HR practices, which are in alignment with both prevailing practices as well as organizational needs.
Thank you, Madam CAO. First off, thank you for all that work. I'm sure that took a lot of effort from a lot of people, or maybe not a lot of people, but many people. And revising these policies, updating these policies, it's key as expectations and the workplaces shift and change, and we need to keep up with our policies. So it's saying that. Questions, comments? Councillor Lennox.
I'm going to echo you, Mr. Mayor, and say I appreciate you and everybody else diving in and working to update some of the more archaic policies and some of the policies which we don't have, where you brought your wealth of experience, prior experience, and same with Ms. Frotzen back, and worked hard to update, identify the needs of the evolving township and bringing us up in 2020s. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Urick.
Yeah, no, I would just echo Councillor Lennox's sentiments. I know since our HR coordinator was hired, this has been an ongoing and very heavy lifting task. And I know since our new CAO came aboard, this just continues. And as Councillor Lennox says, this is finally a forward approach versus various roles in this municipality that seemingly had 6 different things under one umbrella, and that's really not great for attraction nor retention of employees. So to finally formalize and bring some clarity to job roles and job descriptions, and even just the recruitment and hiring process is all the benefit for North Dundas and its residents and the staff here.
Thank you, Councillor. Further Deputy Mayor.
Well, I'm going to agree with everybody. I was really happy to read this whole package because everything is very clear and it's well outlined, and it's up to recent rules, regulations that always change, and I like that it's very clear for any employee, how they're being hired, and especially their expectations and their accountability. I think that's extremely important, and it's really nice to see it there. So, good job.
Thank you. If I may add one last piece, I do want to give due credit to Ms. Froats, who was very crucial in putting all of this information together, comparing all our old policies, where the gaps are and such. So, thank you.
Noted. Thank you very much. Councillor Andival?
No, I think the other 3 people here have spoken well. It obviously was a lot of work, but I think it's going to pay off in the long run.
If there's no further questions or comments, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you, Madam CEO. Corporate Services Clerk. The indigent funerals update be resolved that Council approve policy number 54-2013 as amended this 30th day of July 2025. Do I have a mover? Councillor Urick, and a seconder is Councillor Lennox. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. This policy has not been updated since 2013, so it was time for us to take a look at where we stood on this. There are only 2 municipalities in SDNG that actually have this policy. That would be us and South Dundas, and they're virtually identical. So this update that I've done here is less of a policy and more about the process, because if you look at the original policy that was put in the package, it was very confusing as what our responsibilities were, how we assess things, what we were supposed to do. So myself and the CAO met with the Cornwall, the Human Services Department there. They've sent us their policies, and we had a good one-on-one chat about exactly what our responsibility as a municipality is. So as a municipality, we are governed under both the Hospital Act and the Anatomy Act. So if somebody passes away and they are a resident of North Dundas and they are unclaimed, unclaimed does not mean unidentified. It means there's no family member or friend or somebody else that will step forward and take responsibility for the funeral expenses. It could be that they can't afford it, whatever. So this policy only refers to unclaimed people. So in the event that that happens, the coroner has to fill out a form and they send it to Cornwall. Cornwall then takes over and does an investigation and determines whether or not they fit the protocol and they can actually be managed as an unclaimed person. If there's any money in the state or anything like that to help offset the funeral costs, Cornwall looks after that. We have no involvement doing any of that. They go for death benefits, or if they have a house or something else, it's handled entirely by them. If everything is said and done and the dust settles and there is some expense that comes to the municipality, we don't actually get the bill here. It goes to the county's SD&G because they have a shared services agreement between the Human Services Department and them. So they, when we refer to municipality having the responsibility, it's actually not North Dundas, it's the counties in Cornwall. So unless they actually couldn't come up, when we asked them, they could not come up with any way when we would actually be involved here at the North Dundas level to deal with any of it. So the changes I've made to the policy here are more about process. So it's very clear to the different funeral directors that if there is an unclaimed body, don't come to us. Don't go to the family. If the family signs a contract and then it turns out they can't afford it, that doesn't involve the municipality. So we want to make it really clear. And I've listed the 3 funeral homes that are here in North Dundas, and there's one that's just sort of outside in Metcalfe. So if this process gets approved, policy gets approved, I'd like to send it out to them and I'll meet with them and talk to them so that they really understand how it works. And I think part of the confusion comes from the fact that South Dundas puts money in their budget every year to offset the costs of funerals for people that can't afford it. We don't do that. And I think there's some confusion between, well, if it's unclaimed in South Dundas, they'll pay for it, but if it's unclaimed in North Dundas, you won't. So that's one of the things that I want to clarify with the funeral directors there. So that's what the update for this policy is all about, so that people know what the process is and so that you as counselors understand what the process is and the difference of how things are handled if people come and approach you.
Thank you very much for all that information. Madam Clerk, questions, comments? Councillor Ehring?
Just more of a comment. I think you followed up well, Nancy, but just more of really impressing upon our local funeral directors that this is kind of how it is, because this is how this whole issue spurred itself, right? A local director was, kind of forking out his own costs to deal with this and recouping via the southern municipality where ran into an issue here, and here we are. So I think it's more than anything, it's just really emphasizing with our local funeral directors what the policy is. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Alternate voting methods. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-61 being a bylaw to approve the use of the internet and telephone as alternative voting methods for the 2026 municipal and school board elections being held on Monday, October 25th, 2026, be passed and enacted this 30th day of July 2025. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Lennox, Councillor Annable. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With just a little over a year left, you're going to start seeing things coming before council now for the election, and this is the first report here, which is basically asking council to adopt that we do the same methods we've used for many elections here, being just internet and telephone voting.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Winchester Legion liquor license extension. Be it resolved that council grant the request by the Winchester Legion to extend their liquor license to their parking lot from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Sunday, August 17th, 2025 to accommodate a birthday celebration. A mover, Councillor Uhrig, a seconder, Councillor Lennox. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was a late request that came in for the Legion to extend their liquor license out to the patio for a 70th birthday celebration. These kinds of requests have been approved by council before, and I've attached the request letter for additional information.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Before we move on to Director Pohl, I just want to welcome Leanne Monroe to North Dundas. Thank you, Leanne, for joining us. Leanne is, I think, captured somewhere, but she's our deputy clerk, and maybe, Madam Clerk, you can expand on her role. She has
Okay.
other tasks besides just the deputy clerk.
Yes, she's actually going to be a full-time deputy clerk. Previously, this position was split between communications and the clerk, so she's essentially there to help me and replace me when I'm not here or on vacation. But another really big part of what she's going to be doing is our electronics records management. So we're really excited to have her on board. She's got over 20 years' experience with municipal governments, and we scooped her from somebody else, another municipality. And I'm really glad she came on board, and we're happy to have her.
Well, thank you. Yes, and I think many people out in that are paying attention or online or in the room tonight or this afternoon, Leanne has come home. She's a longtime resident of North Dundas, and we're very fortunate that she decided to come back to North Dundas and be with us, and I look forward to great success and lots of job satisfaction, and it's a pleasure. Leanne, thank you for being with us. We're going to move into development services. Bylaw number 2025-59. Be resolved that bylaw number 2025-59 being a bylaw to amend the zoning of the property at 10619 South Mountain, Main Street from the general commercial C1 zone to the general commercial exception 15 C1-15 zone to permit a veterinary clinic as an additional use on the subject lands be passed and acted this 30th day of July 2025. A mover and a seconder. Deputy Mayor and Councillor Lennox. Mr. Pohl.
Thank you, Mayor Fraser, members of council. So this is a follow-up to our public meeting moments ago. Just to bring to council's attention how effective our delegated authority bylaw is. We got this application on June 30th. We talked with the applicant about 2 days beforehand to advise them if you can get your application in, we can get it on the council package. We are required under the Planning Act to give 20 days notice, but with our delegated authority bylaw, I'm able to accept the application, process it. Before we used to come to council to accept the application and wait another month before we actually had the public meeting. So this sped up this whole process about a month and a half, so that they can get a decision to move forward with their business plan and move forward with the whole application, which is great for them. So I just want to bring that to council's attention that that bylaw does work now with the delegated authority and speeds up this process. And we can get a new vet clinic up and running quicker.
Well, thank you for that update. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Bylaw number 2025-60, bylaw appointments. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-60 being a bylaw to appoint Preston Stronach as a property standards officer and a municipal law enforcement officer be passed and enacted this 30th day of July 2025. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Uhrig, Councillor Lennox. Mr. Pohl.
Thank you. So this is basically administrative bylaw. Is if we end up in court, and when we do end up in court, the courts want to see a separate bylaw appointing Preston as a bylaw, municipal bylaw officer. It's just a technical thing that we have to have a separate bylaw, not just our bylaw with all the names on it. They prefer to see one bylaw with his name on it.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? None, that's carried. Bylaw number 2025-62, parking spaces agreement. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-62 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement for parking spaces for 518 Winchester Church Street for 4 dwelling units pursuant to Section 40 of the Planning Act be passed and enacted this 30th day of July 2025. Moved by Councillor Lennox, second by Councillor Annable. Mr. Pohl.
So this is for a parking agreement for the property at 518 Church Street. You can see if she scrolls up the screen a little more there. They're looking to provide 2 parking spaces at the front of the existing Henderson Hall, converting this building into a 4-unit dwelling unit with 4 units. They are required to provide parking on site, but in this situation, there's not sufficient space. The building occupies almost the entire lot. So therefore, only 2 spaces can be provided out front because you do require snow storage with the parking spaces, and we don't allow in the bylaw 3 vehicles to be backing out of a space onto a road either. So you only want a limited number of access points from a property. So the other option is to acquire parking spaces from the municipality. So this agreement and bylaw is to enable them to purchase basically spaces from the township in the township parking lot. It's like a lease. They would get parking passes that they would use on their vehicles for overnight parking in that parking lot, not be ticketed or towed. This would enable them to park there. So the value of the parking spaces was estimated at $4.20, number again, $4.38 a day per space. Council has the option of lowering that if they wish to lower it. The bylaw under the Planning Act, under Section 40, does allow you many options as far as what you can and can't do. So council, if it wants to, give a break for that kind of thing, can lower the amount from what's suggested. So that's entirely up to council. They're trying to create these affordable units and trying to redevelop this property, which is no longer used as a hall, into a residential property.
Thank you, Mr. Pohl. Questions, comments? Thoughts on the suggestion from Mr. Pohl about lowering the rent, I guess, the lease?
The lease amount, yeah.
Myself, I'll weigh in. If you said 438, it is providing, in my opinion, a service, a needed accommodation downtown Winchester. I think it's not untenable to suggest a lower price. And I would thought, Councillor Lennox.
Yeah, I agree. A lower price is fine with me. Just a question. Are 2 spots going to be permanently dedicated?
They can be, but the idea is also a parking pass, so they can park anywhere in that.
All right. I'm just thinking for events downtown, if bike night returns, meet me on Main Street, etc. If you get home from a busy day at work, can't park in your spot. I'm just looking to avoid headaches for the property owner, landlord down the road.
Councillor,
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, we could put up signage that says these are for Unit A, Unit B.
So I mentioned a lower price, and I'm just going to throw out $2. Do I have any takers at $2? Councillor,
I mean, not knowing what anything comparable would be, sure, $2.
Councillor Annable?
I agree. That shouldn't break anybody, I don't think.
Okay. We'll modify the agreement accordingly. That's a little, Councilor.
If there's nothing further, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Finance, Interim Director Stanley, Development Charges Reserve Fund. Be resolved that Council receive the Development Charges Treasurer's Statement for 2024 as outlined in Appendix A, and that the Treasurer be authorized to transfer funds from the Development Charges Reserve Funds as outlined in Appendix B, and that these transfers are effective as of December 31st, 2024, and that Council authorize the Treasurer to make Appendices A and C available to the public in accordance with Section 43, 2.1 of the Development Charges Act 1997. A mover. Councillor Urigan, and a seconder, Councillor Lennox. Mr. Pohl. No, Interim Director Stanley, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. You would be familiar with this treasurer's statement for development charges. It's presented every year, as council does need to pass this treasurer's statement, and we must post it publicly. So just a couple of highlights. In 2024, we collected approximately $211,000 in development charges, and interest in the amount of $71,000 was applied to new and existing balances in our development charges. A total of $321,000 was transferred out of our development charges for projects that are listed in Appendix C. So that is what we've used these funds for in 2024.
Thank you very much, Logan, for preparing all that information. Questions, comments from members of council? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. We're going to move on to the inactive community groups and completed project reserve. Be it resolved that council authorize the closure of the inactive community group and completed project reserve funds as presented effective August 30th, 2025, and that funds be returned to the respective community groups if the conditions presented are met prior to the effective date, and that the net of the remaining funds be contributed to the contingency reserve fund and held for future use by the Township of North Dundas. A mover, Deputy Mayor, and a seconder, Councillor Lennox. Interim Director.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In an effort to improve financial transparency and refine the processes surrounding the administration and management of our financial assets, a review of our reserve and reserve fund accounts is being conducted by the Finance Department. As part of this review, it was determined that several community groups have had funds held by the township in reserve fund accounts, which have remained inactive for several years. In most cases, these funds have been depleted, but interest was applied after the fact, and the interest has continued to accrue on these accounts. Staff have attempted to identify whether these groups remain active and contact organization representatives with limited success. As a result, staff are recommending that the listed accounts be closed effective August 30th, 2025, and that the funds be absorbed by the township and allocated to a contingency fund for future use by the township. The date of August 30th has been selected to allow representatives of the community groups, if still active, an opportunity to contact township staff and request the funds be released to the organizations. Funds will be released to the community groups if the conditions are met by the organization representatives. The conditions are listed in the report. And so additionally, there are reserve funds that were created for the holding of funds related to specific projects that have been completed. Staff are recommending that these other accounts be closed, as the intended purpose of the reserve funds have been fulfilled. These accounts hold either $0 or a deficit balance. Any deficit balance will be cleared through the appropriation of funds from the closure of the inactive community group accounts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Move on to fire. Chief Raystrick, request for funds to replace Pump 1. Be it resolved that council approve the request to allocate funds in the 2026 financial budget for the purchase of a pump/rescue fire apparatus in the amount of $150,000 and approve staff to prepare an RFP to reserve a cab/chassis in 2025. Moved by Councilor Lennox, second by Councilor Annable. Chief Raystrick.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As you're aware, at the July 2nd meeting, council was presented with an overview of the current condition and operational limitations of existing apparatus. The unit scheduled for replacement, Pump 1, has reached the end of its service life in terms of age and effectiveness. This acquisition will address future apparatus concerns, and this purchase would be a significant step forward in the standardization of the fire service fleet. In speaking with some of the providers, reserving the cabin chassis in 2025 could result in up to $10,000 in savings on that cabin chassis immediately. And as presented at the July meeting, the same truck was $689,000 this year. It's anticipated at $735 for the first quarter of 2026 and $770 for the second half of 2026. So I think moving a little bit quickly on this, I anticipate some savings for us.
Thank you for the doom and gloom. Questions, comments from members of council? I think we all, oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Urick.
No, I had the opportunity to chat with the fire chief about this, and I think it, while it's not an insignificant amount of money, there is obviously a strategic plan here in place in terms of, forward thinking and, what, shifts around and stuff as the fire service grows and expands and everything like that. And not only that, I mean, $10,000, well, small compared to the overall total, that's still $10,000 perhaps more for our fire service, and think of what can be done with that. So I do think I understand the expediency here, and I understand the effort being made. And again, it's just another kind of feather in the cap of this council for, reorganizing the fire service in the way in which we did, and having a dedicated individual here looking after these sorts of things. So,
Thank you for your comments. Anything further? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried.
Thank you.
Recreation Culture, Director Meerberg, the Hallville pedestrian crosswalks. Be resolved that council support the implementation of 2 pedestrian crossovers, level 2 type C on County Road 1 at the intersection of St. John Street and Kerrs Ridge Road this 30th day of July 2025. I need a mover and I need a seconder. Councillor Lennox, Deputy Mayor. Ms. Meerberg.
Good afternoon, Council. Staff recommend that Council approve the installation of 2 Level 2 Type C pedestrian crosswalks on County Road 1, one at St. John Street and one at Kerrs Ridge Road, as part of the Brian Telford Community Park project. These locations were identified to improve pedestrian safety and connectivity between residential areas, the new park, and local businesses such as Laughlin's Country Store. Speed radar data collected over 2 30-day periods showed that over 80% of vehicles entering and exiting Hallville were traveling above the posted 50 km per hour speed limit, with average speeds of 80 km per hour at the north end and 60 km per hour at the south end. These findings highlight an ongoing safety risk for pedestrians and reinforce the need for visible infrastructure to calm traffic and formalize pedestrian crossings. The St. John Street location serves more than 50 residential homes and is expected to see high foot traffic to the new park. The Kerrs Ridge Road location, while serving a smaller residential base, improves access to a well-used local store and addresses known sightline issues caused by on-street parking. Concerns from the business owner regarding delivery access and parking were considered, and staff believe that these can be addressed through bylaw enforcement, signage, and alternative delivery arrangements. Funding for both crosswalks has already been secured through the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, so ISIP. Deviating from the approved scope, such as by removing one of the 2 crosswalks, could trigger a lengthy scope change request and risk delays or partial clawback of the $2 million in awarded federal and provincial funding. Proceeding with both crosswalks now avoids those risks and improves safety and accessibility throughout the village.
Thank you for the presentation. Question, comments? I see Councillor Lennox.
Wasn't it in January we suggested the fire hall as for the second crosswalk and St. John for the first? Which meeting was that? Because this seems like a repeated topic that keeps coming up. Whatever happened to that conversation we had here in this room?
Yes, ma'am.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Lennox. So contained in my report is the speed radar. Sorry, is the speed radar data.
So you're telling me
council,
that the speed radar that's across from Laughlin Tractor / Automotive is capturing people, the 80% who are speeding? Because that's bullshit. As I was telling,
John?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Can't say that.
As I was telling Mr. Mayor today when he called me about this, I have tried to make that sign flash on the south side that I'm going too fast. It's literally 50 meters from the turn off of 43. So carrying your speed around, which I was doing, and out of curiosity, 41. I know for sure that the north entrance is probably the one garnering all the speeders. In the back, I see Stephanie, store owner of Laughlin's. She approached me and asked this morning, why is this coming up again? And I'm pretty sure you have open permits for delivery still, which... Yeah, which is something which I'll talk to Mr. Pohl about later, because I would like to see that Delegated Authority Act here if it's not a county issue. 30-day turnaround is pretty impressive. But yeah, it keeps coming up. It's peeing people off in Hallville. I don't see a crosswalk at Kerrs Ridge going across as feasible. Dump trucks will park there. People won't even be able to see the flashing sign. Secondly, you procured the back way into the park from Kerrs Ridge, about 200 meters down. Earlier this year, I believe, we signed the deal, procuring that strip of land, access path. No? That will serve the 15 houses we're talking about. They can walk that way.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Lennox, we haven't procured any land.
Or it was donated?
No, it's county property along the county road there. Is that what you're speaking
No,
at?
Kerrs Ridge.
Kerrs Ridge.
Yeah, and Christina Crescent
So-
Way.
I'm gonna, to help clarify this, I'm gonna ask Director Pohl just to clarify what you may be speaking of, Councilor Lennox.
Thank you, Mayor Fraser. Through you, it is a different property, and that's a different subdivision, but that's to the east. The subdivision that they're trying to use to cross over would use that to get to Lachlan
Yeah.
store, yes.
And in this report, I see the 15 home service, yada, yada, by the Kerrs Ridge crosswalk. I just don't think it's feasible, and I really want to know what happened with that, because the sign data, that has to be traffic coming and going from the north end. There is no feasible, logical way for someone to be speeding at that boat place going above 50 kilometers per hour. Not even a motorcyclist. I think there's better options here.
Councilor, I think the Deputy Mayor, and then Councilor Urick.
Okay. I totally agree that we need a crosswalk on the north end because people coming down from Ottawa, it's a straight go. They are speeding. As they say, 80% are going 80 kilometers before they hit the 50 kilometer zone, right close there. And I also agree from the south side with Councillor Lennox. I mean, I use that route all the time. When you come off Highway 43, you have a sharp curve and then you have the turn, you have the boat. Here it says that the average speed for 80% of the cars there is 60 kilometers an hour. I'm surprised by that. I would expect to be a little bit less. But even then, even if they were going 60, I don't think that it's an issue for safety for people. I mean, I've never heard of an accident being there. I've never heard of anything happening there. The store at the corner, I mean, people forever, they park in front, they go around the turn. If you put a crosswalk right there at that store, cars will have to not be able to park close. They'll have to go far back. And to me, there's just too many issues with it being there. The houses are being built more north of there. And if the 15 houses are to the west on Kerrs Ridge Road and they want to go to the park, they can cross the street or go up the road and then cross higher up. Yeah. And so personally, yes, we need one at St. John Street. Absolutely. The second one, we have to decide at some point where if the grant that we receive says we have to have 2 crosswalks, if it says that, I personally don't approve of it being at Kerrs Ridge. I think it's a horrible spot for it to be.
Thank you for your thoughts. Councilor Urick.
Yeah, I would I'm on very much the same page as my fellow council members. I do fully support a crosswalk at St. John Street, absolutely. But at Kerrs Ridge, simply thinking about the dynamics of that area, we have a busy store on a corner, we have a house across the street, we have a house across the street, we have a house across the street. Who's getting run over of a car backing out of a driveway or backing out of the store when they're trying to use a crosswalk? Like, that is just, you're dropping something that is, crosswalks are certainly necessary, but you're dropping one right in the middle of a busy area and merely, I think, asking for accidents to happen. I mean, we have a crosswalk right here on St. Lawrence Street, and the number of times, and this is not even, we're not even talking people backing out, but the number of times I've seen people blow through that crosswalk in front of the library, in front of the public school. We're asking for it here in this case. I think if we want to do something about pedestrian safety and getting to the new park, by all means, let's do something, delineators, what have you. But in terms of two crosswalks, one at St. John Street, and then definitely let's look at a different area for one. But to put it on the corner of Kerrs Ridge right now as being discussed, just astounds me that, again, we're having this discussion when, to Councillor Lennox's point, we already talked about this earlier this year.
Councillor Annable?
I agree with my cohorts. The one at St. John, I think, is very important. On the south end, not Kerrs Ridge. There should be another spot designated, I believe.
Okay, so I have, we can, if Councillor Lennox and Deputy Mayor Bergeron are okay, we can create a friendly, do a friendly amendment and just change the location of the second one. It'd be at the intersection of St. John Street and I'm going to say Wiley. Would that be Wiley Way? And Wiley Way, this 30th day of July 2025. So if it's okay with Councillor Lennox as the mover, the Deputy Mayor, as we do a friendly amendment, be it resolved that Council support the implementation of two pedestrian crossovers, level 2, type C on County Road 1 at the intersection of St. John Street and Kerrs Ridge, Wiley Way, on this 30th day of July 2025. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Carried. But to carry this conversation further, because Ms. Meerberg, and I do appreciate the concern about pedestrians, that's, I think that crosswalk or that area in front of this, by the store, that's more of a, not a recreation concern. That's a concern maybe for the Director of Transportation or Planning or counties to do that and to spend funds ensuring that works. But Madam CAO and I had an opportunity today to talk to an engineer, just happenstance. They mentioned they read the package. We're talking about opportunities to manage the speed in that area. And I'm not sure, but I do think maybe you had the opportunity to sit in with the meeting whenever we had our OPP representative, Sergeant Birch, sit in. And we talked about this project and this park and the challenges that we're all going to face with speeding and speeders. And she committed that with the start of whenever the park starts and people start going to the park, that there will be an increased presence of OPP to establish what needs to be done. But I do think we need to take other measures, and I look at the Director Cheney, to think of other ways that we can encourage, be it signage on the roadway, be it more, do we spend $5,000 or $7,000 on another radar sign highlighting the speed that people are doing. I even threw out to the engineer today, speed bumps. Something, you know, like we're throwing things out to increase the level of safety in that community, because it's not just this intersection that has been brought to my attention. Others have talked about the speed of traffic going through Hallville and how we need to control that. And I don't think recreation is the right department to control the speed going through it. I think it's more a focus of making sure that people get across. And as for the could be the change in scope, If you anticipate that it's going to be a challenge, I'm more than willing to reach out to our MP and others to advocate for understanding the need for the relocation or the movement of this second crossing to the north end to accommodate the youngsters and the families that want to cross the street. This needs to be an ongoing discussion to ensure that that stretch is looked after in a better fashion. As for bylaw, I really don't feel bylaw has the opportunity to enforce anything in Hallville. I mean, to the degree that we need it enforced. If we were to implement something that, as Councillor Lennox talked about, and I witnessed the other day, everyone just wheels up. I had to stop to do something, to check something on my car, and everyone was just wheeling up and getting into their vehicle and going into the store. That's the expectation. That's the culture of that community. And I don't think we're going to be able to modify that with bylaw enforcement, as we have not enough bylaw enforcement to look after what we need looked after in the villages of Chesterfield and Winchester. So anyway, that all being said, we've approved that of St. John Street and Wiley Way, and the challenges that you're going to encounter, we're going to work through it to get to where we need to be together. On to the next item. Chesterfield District Arena, capital renewals. Be it resolved that council approve budget amendment number 2025-08 for amount of up to $298,963 to proceed with the necessary capital renewals at the Chesterfield District Arena, and that council directs staff to pursue external financing for the associated costs, and if such financing is not secured, staff return to council with alternative funding options prior to drawing from the general reserve working funds. A mover, Councillor Uhrig, and a seconder is the Deputy Mayor. Ms. Meerberg.
Staff recommend that council approve the proposed budget amendment to proceed with essential capital upgrades to the Chesterfield and District Arena. The planned improvements include roof repairs, door replacements, compressor work, a potential sound system upgrade, and financing for the previously approved Olympia ice resurfacer. The township's, that portion was left unfinanced for a portion of it. The township's application to the Canada Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund was unsuccessful, unfortunately, and no alternative grant funding is currently available. So staff are proposing to bundle these items into a single external financing request, and should financing not be secured externally, staff will return to council with alternative funding options before drawing funds from the general working funds reserve.
Questions, comments, members of council? Deputy Mayor.
Maybe I should have let Councillor Lennox go first. When I see these numbers, it just drives me crazy. I mean, we just approved not long ago, I think $150,000 for a condenser, and now we're looking close to $300,000. And this is just to get ice in our arenas and buildings that are falling apart. I'm really annoyed that South Dundas, they got $900,000 for their recreation center. We applied for the same thing and we got nothing. South Glengarry applied, they got their money, but anyways, we didn't. And so we're kind of between a rock and a hard plate, where if we want to continue the ice on the arenas, we don't have much choice but to spend this money. And at the same time, I'm really ticked off that we didn't get any funding from the province.
Fair enough. So am I. Councillor Lennox.
Yeah, I agree. We're between a rock and a hard place, and with ice, without ice slip-on, the rinks are useless. I would like to see these prioritized. Roof repairs, yes. Insulation, yes. Replacement of doors can get by, like down the road. But the community has spoken during the rec master plan, or correction,
Strategic plan.
Strat plan. We're committing to this, and a wise man once told me, I think he's sitting 2 down from you, that a municipality is a lot like our medical system, where we have elective surgeries and then must do corrective emergency actions. And I do view the rings based upon community feedback during the strat plan sessions as those critical surgeries to keep these functions and services running, and that being we're a hockey community, so let's keep our sticks on the ice and moving forward.
Thank you, Councillor. Further questions, further comments? No, it's, we have committed and we have decided, and rightly so, I believe, that we want to keep our arenas going. This is the price we pay. And I think of what the challenges have been with our roads. We wanted to ensure that there was, I don't want to say outcry, but comments and feedback from the public that our roads needed to have investments. We need to make investments as a community into our roads. Well, our arenas are another part of that, so I do agree that we've committed to it. All of the user groups, figure skating, ball hockey, broom ball, other groups that use the arenas, they're all involved in this, and it is part of our culture. It needs to happen. To the deputy mayor's thoughts, we try to attract money from the province to support this. At the end of the day, I think at least we're fortunate that we have a discussion on can we support it, because if it'd be a terrible place if we weren't able to support it and to lose an arena or two. So, saying all of that, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Budget reallocation. Be it resolved that council approve the reallocation of $9,000 from the $40,000 in previously approved 2025 capital funding for the Joel Steele Community Center / Sam Alt Arena to support the urgent rebuild of one of the refrigeration compressors prior to the start of the 2025/2026 ice season. Mover, Lennox, and Urick. Thank you, Councilor Lennox, Councilor Urick. Ms. Meerberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So council approval is being sought to simply reallocate some of the funds for the Joel Steele Community Center and Sam Alt Arena. We're looking to just shift around $9,000 out of the $40,000 line item for capital improvements this year. There is sufficient funding for the capital allocation. The compressor was not listed as an approved budget item, so we would like to add that in. Unfortunately, this is not within the director's delegated authority, so I'm asking council for this. And the repair is considered essential for reliable arena operation through the upcoming ice season. There is no budget impact as the funds would come within the same capital account. And I would like to note that there was an error in the resolution that was included in the report. It was identified that the upcoming ice season was 24-25. Although we would love to freeze time, the correct year was noted in my report as 2025/2026. So I just want to call your attention to the small error in the resolution.
Thank you. Questions, comments, members of council? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you, Ms. Meerberg.
Thank you.
To move on to the consent agenda, be resolved that all items listed on the consent agenda be approved / filed as recommended. Councilor Lennox, Deputy Mayor. All those in, questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing that's carried. Unfinished business. Director Meerberg, budget amendment for the Joel Steele Community Center sound system. Anything further to that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we did find out that 2 of our neighboring municipalities have the Octasound system that council had inquired about. So we are continuing our investigation, and further communication will ensue with those municipal neighbors.
Thank you. And Director Pohl, 10641 Main Street, South Mountain.
Yeah, the owner is still working on their record of site condition to get it completed this summer. before they can proceed with the zoning.
Thank you. We're going to move into boards and committees. County Council, Deputy Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, you always ask me for a report. You
Should
were
be ready for
there.
it.
We have two people who have put their names forward for warden. We have Jason and we have Jason Broad and Frank Laundrie. Those are the two people who put their names. The current warden, Martin Lang, he said he would have to ask his wife's permission if he wanted to run for a second year, and he didn't think that was coming forward.
No doubt. Parade of Lights, nothing to report. Garden Party Market, we had a meeting just on the 21st, and things are moving ahead, getting ready for the Christmas market with the Garden Party Market Group. They're proceeding. They're moving forward. So we're looking forward to that. There was great success at that event last year. I anticipate the weather is going to be exactly the same, comfortable and mild for the time of year it was. Art in the Waterfront, Councillor Annabelle.
No meeting. We haven't done.
Historical Society,
Not, it'll be next week.
nothing about the carnival. Green Action Gang, Dairy Fest.
Okay. Dairy Fest, I was not at the meeting, but I got the minutes. I was out of province on that day. They've collected $4,650 so far in sponsorship, but they have more sponsors to come. The ball tournament seems to be really, really popular. They had so many teams that signed in that they had to add games on Thursday. So they have games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the baseball teams, which is amazing. They have 26 vendors confirmed. That doesn't include the food vendors. The food vendors are Country Kitchen, the Beachcomber, Alice's Lemonade, the Hawks Barbecue, and then there'll be the Fireman's Breakfast. Which the Fireman's Breakfast will be held upstairs at the Joel Steele Community Center. Liquor license was approved. They're going to sell mimosas, Baileys for coffee, and Caesars during the Fireman's Breakfast starting at 9 a.m., if that's your thing. And at 11 a.m., the bar will open in the pavilion. There's going to be the Dairy Dash up. The update is there will be a 5K, 10K dash starting at 8:30 in the morning and a 2K starting at 9 a.m. And for the kids, Tribec will stay there until 4 p.m. And that's about it that I've got for now. Thank you. It's only a one-day event, by the way.
Thank you. 9 a.m. you said? Mimosas?
That's because the Liquor Control Board does not allow you to drink before 9 a.m. if you're in a public place. They don't know what you do at home.
No, they don't. Thank you. Put that on my calendar. Downtown Winchester, nothing?
Nothing.
And the Morwood RA?
Yes, I was wondering if a member of council would be available to have a meeting with them and potentially Ms. Johnson and Mr. Stanley. Just quickly go over, make sure they have all their ducks in a row and they're above board for their upcoming event at the end of September. I am not available during the day, so I was hoping I can have a stand-in.
Yep. Raise of hands. The stand-in, I got it. I'll look after that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for the opportunity. Council comments, I see there's none. Okay, we're going to move into in-camera. Any? Be it resolved that council proceed to closed session at 4:45 p.m. pursuant to Section 2392 of the Municipal Act 2001, subsection D, labor relations or employee negotiations, specifically employee negotiations. Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Annabelle. Just to let everyone know, whenever we're done this, it's pretty much just an adjournment. Yes. So moved by the Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Lennox. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Meeting minutes of July 10, 2025. It's going to be the approval of the minutes of the June 23rd, 2025 meeting and a discussion pursuant, as I mentioned, to Section 2392 of the Municipal Act, subsection D, Labor Relations Employee Negotiations, specifically employee negotiations, and any disclosures of pecuniary interest. Seeing none. Thank you. You can go now. Welcome back, everyone. Be it resolved that council return to open session at 5:04 PM. Moved by Councillor Uhrig and Councillor Lennox. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing your hand. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Be it resolved that staff proceed as directed during closed session. Moved by Councillor Annable and Councillor Uhrig. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Adjournment. Be it resolved that council adjourn at 5:04 PM, 5:05 PM, let's say 5:05 PM. To the call of the chair, moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Annable. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried.